So HTML and how to deal with styles and styles, that is CSS, and we learned about how do we use bootstrap. Now today we are going to start understanding about the JavaScript. So JavaScript, and then we will see how do we deal with jQuery, JavaScript and jQuery. So what is the purpose of JavaScript? So, and what is jQuery? How do we use them? How we can make the applications more interactive? We will see that. So first, the basic things you need to understand about what is JavaScript language. Then we can start using that in designing our applications. So working with our applications. So actually, so we are going to understand first. So what is JavaScript and what is the purpose of JavaScript and how to deal with them. Technically, JavaScript is a language, and generally in early days, people used to say JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. It is a client-side scripting language, but not just client-side scripting language. So don't say JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, because JavaScript is a language, and you can use JavaScript. It can be used server side. It can be used server side. It can be used client side. It can be used in even in database also. So JavaScript server side is used in Node.js. Node.js uses server side. JavaScript client side we use with HTML. And JavaScript in database is used with MongoDB. MongoDB is a database which uses JavaScript actually. So JavaScript is a language which is used client side, server side, in database also. So better not to say JavaScript is a client side language, because it is more than a client side language now, right? And JavaScript is it is interpreted and just in time, just in time compiled language. Interpreted means it has both techniques. It can translate line by line. So it can translate line by line using interpreter. Interpreter is a translator. So JavaScript can be used with interpreter, which will translate line by line, and it can translate entire program. So using compiler. So it can work with both interpreter and compiler. And just in time means nothing but just in time is a compiler is a just in time is nothing but just in time allows the JavaScript programs to run on any operating system. That means it makes JavaScript program run on any operating system. So it is cross-platform. It can run on every operating system service. Any device it can run. So why it is called just-in-time? Just-in-time is a compiling technique used in several programming languages, and this technique allows JavaScript to understand to run on any device actually. So that is the reason whenever anyone have to define JavaScript, they say that JavaScript is a just-in-time and interpreted compiled programming language. It is just-in-time interpreted compiled programming language, and it is used the server side, it is used in database, and it is used in client side also. First, we will learn how to use it client side, then we will see server side and in database also. Because in full stack, you are going to learn how to use JavaScript in all the ways. You will use client side, you will use server side, you will use in database everywhere. You will see that working everywhere actually. Right. So how the JavaScript works with HTML, what is the purpose? We will see that. Actually, HTML presents DOM. What is DOM? Already we learned in HTML. I explained you document object model. HTML presents DOM, and JavaScript makes the DOM interactive. That means it makes the DOM dynamic. So that means JavaScript presents the DOM in a dynamic way. Suppose HTML presents a button and JavaScript gives a functionality for that button. So JavaScript makes HTML more interactive. Actually, JavaScript is used for DOM manipulations. It is used for DOM manipulations. So manipulating the document elements, we use JavaScript for DOM manipulations actually. So how JavaScript is used, how it works, we will see that. Actually, first JavaScript was introduced. Before JavaScript, we have ECMA script actually. ECMA script. ECMA script is the first script that we used for web development in the early days. After that, Brendan Eich, he designed a script called LiveScript. He designed a script called Mocha. He designed a script called Mocha for browser called Netscape. Netscape is a browser. So internet we started using very extensively with a browser called Netscape. Actually, world first browser is Mosaic. Mosaic is the name of the world's first browser. After Mosaic, we used Netscape. So for internet, we used Netscape as browser. And for Netscape, a client-side script was designed that was named as Mocha, and it was designed by Brendan Eich. He designed that. Later that Mocha was renamed as LiveScript. It was renamed as LiveScript. After LiveScript, so Sun Microsystems took the responsibility of maintaining that script, and they named it as JavaScript because already they have a language called Java, and they named this script as JavaScript. So there is no relation between Java and JavaScript. Then why the name given JavaScript? That is because that is from the same people who maintain the language Java. So they started maintaining JavaScript. That is the reason they named this as JavaScript. So JavaScript actually developed by JavaScript designed by Brendan Eich, Brendan Eich, and JavaScript is maintained by maintained by uh, Sun Microsystems, Sun Microsystems, Sun Microsystems, and JavaScript follows the standards of JavaScript follows the standards of ECMA. It follows the standards of ECMA. After in the early days, in the beginning, that means JavaScript is a language that follows ECMA standards. ECMA is European Computer Manufacturers Association. It is ECMA standard language actually. So after that, JavaScript uh, extensions were developed by every browser. Every browser started its own JavaScript extensions. That is the reason one problem with JavaScript is the problem with JavaScript is browser compatibility issues will come. Compatibility issues is there because every browser have its own extensions to JavaScript. That's the problem. Every browser have their own extensions to JavaScript. That is the reason some options will work in a browser. The same options will not work on another browser. So browser dependency problems will come. That is the reason you can observe many times. Suppose when you are using Google, Gmail on Edge or a Firefox like browsers, they will send a alert message saying that better use Chrome. So for our Google and Gmail, use Chrome. Why? Because certain designs they have created for you, they will not run on all browsers properly. They designed for their browser Chrome and they recommend it. If you are not using Chrome, some options may not work properly. So that is the problem with JavaScript even today. The main problem with JavaScript is browser compatibility issues are there. So that means it cannot run on every browser in the same way every time. Some situation, some functions cannot work properly. That is the reason developer have to take care about so the browser, its compatibilities and write program accordingly. That's what you will learn here, how we can do that actually. And very important is JavaScript, JavaScript version, JavaScript version is ECMA. ECMA. JavaScript version is ECMA. ECMA version, JavaScript ECMA version. So ECMA 2015, like 2016, so 2018, like this. So ECMA versions are there. ECMA versions are there. So 2020, these versions are there. 2020 versions are there. Out of these versions, ECMA versions, so the most latest used version across everywhere. So the popular version is earlier people have to use ES. We call it as ES. ES is ECMA script actually. ES5. ES5. So ES6, ES6. These are the two versions which are very popularly used everywhere. However, we have advanced like ES8 and ES9 versions are there, but they are still under um, development. So we don't have a stable version release for ES actually. So that is the reason companies will still use this ES6. So we will also see this ES6. What is this version? What are the new features? Because other advanced versions are not stable. ES5 is older one, ES6 is advanced. So better we will learn this ES6. So JavaScript versions are ES5, ES6. These are JavaScript versions. Many people don't know this, and generally they ask like, so when we learn JavaScript, they will ask like, so sir, after JavaScript, will you teach us ES6 also? Right. So some people have such type of question because they don't have a clarity. Remember, you are learning ES. JavaScript means it is ES. Its version is ES. So ES, JavaScript, everything is same, right? So don't think that ES is a separate language. It actually, ES is a version of JavaScript. JavaScript version. If anyone asks which version of JavaScript you have learned, you can say ES6. ES6 is the very latest stable version, which is being used all over the companies now, right? So we will use this ES6. We will learn about what are new in ES6 and all. So JavaScript, the basic evolution, first it is called Mocha, after that LiveScript, after that JavaScript. Originally designed by Brendan Eich, later maintained by Sun Microsystem, and so maintained the standards from ECMA script. So the latest version of this JavaScript is ES6. And so many problems are there with JavaScript. Several problems are there. The problems in JavaScript is, first problem is browser compatibility issues. Compatibility issues are there. So another problem is not secured. That means whatever you write in JavaScript, it can be seen by clients. Anyone can see what you have written. It is not secured much. You have to take a lot of precautions to making secured transactions actually. And it can be disabled by browser. Browser can disable JavaScript. If JavaScript is disabled by browser, so then a browser will not allow JavaScript to run, then several client-side interactions will not work. You have to alternatively use server-side interactions also. So JavaScript have a lot of other problems like technical language problems that you will learn while learning the language. Actually, JavaScript supports only few features of object-oriented programming. So JavaScript is not an OOP language. It supports only few features of object-oriented programming. That is the reason. So several issues will come, like uh, object-oriented related, all the features it cannot utilize. So code security will not be there. Extensibility is not completely available. Such problems will be there with JavaScript. And actually JavaScript problem is lot of references. So lot of coding required. Applications will be heavy. So that means you have a legacy type. Legacy means so large amount of library. So large amount of code to load and to handle any functionality. To overcome this, actually, we use jQuery. In real-time projects, you will see people using jQuery only in programming. But jQuery uses the language JavaScript. So JavaScript is mandatory for every developer, but we will not directly use JavaScript in real-time projects. We will learn JavaScript language and we will use jQuery with JavaScript. So for developing applications. In all real world projects, you will majority see jQuery only. Now people are using other than jQuery. So what is problem with jQuery? I will tell you later. Other than jQuery, now people are using Angular JS. So people are using Angular, people are using React. So people are using Backbone JS, like Ember JS. So many are there. So now you have to deal with Angular JS or Angular or React or Backbone. Finally, you need JavaScript only. Without JavaScript, you can't do anything. That is the reason a web developer must have knowledge of JavaScript, but he will not use JavaScript directly everywhere. So majority of real world projects uses jQuery, and now they are using frameworks like Angular JS, Angular React. So finally, all of them needs JavaScript only. We will see how JavaScript is used, how JavaScript is integrated and worked with that, right? Let's see one point. So first thing, so we are learning JavaScript. We are learning JavaScript with HTML. JavaScript with HTML. So if anyone asks, what is the purpose of JavaScript with HTML? So the main point is DOM manipulations. JavaScript is used for DOM manipulations. JavaScript reduces burden on server, because it manages all interactions client side. So we use JavaScript for client side validations and interactions. So JavaScript is used for DOM manipulations. JavaScript is used for reducing the burden on server. It is used to reduce the burden on server. It manages all the client-side interactions. And validations. Generally, when anyone asks what is the purpose of using JavaScript with HTML, so then in simple point, you can say that it is used for handling client-side interactions. So it may be validations or anything we call client-side interactions. With HTML, it is used for client-side interactions. So how JavaScript is used, how it is integrated, how it is managed, we will see that now step by step. The basics are same like styles we have learned. That means how you can integrate JavaScript into HTML. So JavaScript can be integrated with HTML, integrated with HTML in three ways. You can use JavaScript inline. We can use JavaScript embedded, and we can use JavaScript from external file. All these three techniques you have learned in CSS. The same thing here also. JavaScript we can write inline. JavaScript we can write embedded. JavaScript we can write in external file. You know the differences in CSS. I told you the differences clearly. You know the differences. Inline will be faster, but you cannot reuse. Embedded you can reuse, but it is slow and it is available only for that page. External file you can access and use from any location. So you know these three things we have learned in CSS. So styles. So the same thing here also. So JavaScript can be used inline, it can be used embedded, or it can be used in external file. So let's see one simple example here. I will just add here a new folder. So JavaScript, okay, a file. So home.html. And here I am designing a simple doc type HTML head and title JavaScript. And in the body section, so we are defining some heading. Suppose click print button to print page, something like this. So we have a button here. So print. Now the point is when user clicks on this print button, I want to invoke printer and print the page. Print the page. Then we need to write a functionality. You can write JavaScript function inline. Inline means directly you can write inside the tag on click is equal to window.print. So it is a JavaScript function which will open the printer properties and print the page. Don't worry about what is window.print and all. That's what you will learn in the next level. You need to just understand what is inline. Inline means you can directly write like this. You can directly write like this. You can see now what will happen is when I click print button, it will open printer properties so that I can print the page. So JavaScript can be written inline, but problem is reusability. So we cannot reuse across various locations. If the same functionality required again and again, and a lot of statements are there, then we have to rewrite them and again. So we can use embedded. It is same like CSS. So we don't need to take much time in understanding. We already learned it. But how JavaScript does, we will see that. We can write embedded also. JavaScript can be embedded. Embedded means what? So we will write JavaScript functions. We will write JavaScript functions in the head section by using a script. So script is an element, just like styles. For styles, we have styles. For script, we have script. And the script, we write a function as print page. This function, so have to print window.print. It should print the window. Now we need to call this function. So on click. So button on click is equal to print page. Don't worry about function. What is a function? What is window.print and all? You are going to learn. We are first understanding the placement of script. You can place the script inline. You can place the script in embedded. Embedded advantage is you can access and use from any location. So you can reuse this function. Suppose I have another button. So that button is print page. And that button also should use the same function on click. So print page. So we can reuse the function. So you can see print page also working fine. So this is embedded. You can keep the script inline. You can keep the script embedded. And here comes very important when you are learning about embedded. So many points are there. We need to learn about them. See, generally, when you keep the script embedded, we use a script element. And here, where to keep the script. So that means in head section or in body section. That situation we already discussed in CSS. I told you already when to put in head section, when to put in body section. In CSS, we learned that situation. The same we have to follow here. Can you tell me when to put in head section? When to put the script in head section? Remember that in styles we discussed that when to keep in head section and when to keep in body section. Remember those points? Yeah, good. So when you want to load into memory and use later, then we have to keep in the head section. Am I right? When you want to execute immediately, then we have to keep in the body section. I hope everyone remembered. The same thing we have to follow for this also, for script also. Yeah. So if you want to load into memory and use later, then keep in head section. And if you want to use it immediately at the time of loading the page, then use in the body section. That situation I explained already. The same thing here also. Same thing here also. And important is MIME type. MIME type for JavaScript. For JavaScript, same like CSS, we have text slash JavaScript. Text slash JavaScript. Or you can also write language equal to JavaScript. Language equal to JavaScript. So I told you already, MIME type is important. And for CSS, we are using MIME type text slash CSS. We are using MIME type text slash CSS. So, but for script, we have to use the type as text slash JavaScript. That is the MIME type. Or you can also use language. Language is equal to JavaScript. Both are same. One is enough. Both are not required. One is enough. Both are same. Why MIME type is important? Because already we discussed that. So if you don't define the MIME type, then browser is unable to understand what type of code you are writing there. That is the reason it is important to tell the MIME type. So text slash JavaScript, or you can write language equal to JavaScript. That is the MIME type for JavaScript. That is MIME type. Another important point is, so that means these are all important points before you start dealing with JavaScript actually. So that means in head section, you can keep embed, right? You can embed in head section and you can embed in body section. You can embed in head and body section. And MIME type is text slash JavaScript. Or you can also use language equal to JavaScript. You can also use this. One more very important point about JavaScript is when you are writing JavaScript. So another important point is JavaScript for legacy browsers. This is very important. JavaScript for legacy browser. Legacy browsers means latest functions, because we are learning JavaScript ES6 version. And actually we have two types of browsers. Browsers are there. We have legacy browser, and we have modern browser. Two browsers are there. Difference is legacy browsers can understand up to HTML4 and they can understand up to ES4, means JavaScript 4 version, ES4 version. Modern browsers can understand HTML5 and they can understand ES5 and above, ES5 and higher versions. They can understand. So problem is when you are writing some advanced functions and you are trying to run in old version browser, they cannot understand. Due to that, lot of errors will come. So we need to write the code in such a way that it is easily understandable to old version browsers also, legacy browsers also. For that purpose, actually, we have an habit like this. What is the habit is when we write the JavaScript here, this is JavaScript here, function. We write this JavaScript function, we write the JavaScript function in HTML comment. This is a HTML comment. In HTML comment, we write JavaScript function actually. We write the JavaScript function in HTML comments. Actually, JavaScript comments double slash JavaScript comments. But this is HTML comments. This is HTML comments. So we write JavaScript in HTML comments. So what is the purpose of writing JavaScript in HTML comments? What is the reason? What is the purpose of writing JavaScript in HTML comments? So the purpose is it will allow the JavaScript function to run on old version browser also. So that means it will translate the functions suitable to older versions. So it is taken care by the parser, means the translator. It will take help of HTML parser and translate the code which is understandable to older versions. So you will not see many people writing like this these days. This type of coding you will see only from experts, experienced people, uh, especially if they are targeting application to old version browsers also. That is the reason you will not find this type of syntax every time. But it is very important to know because our websites will be used by several old version browsers also. From old version browsers also, our websites will be accessible. So we need to write coding in such a way that it will run properly in those browsers also. For that, it is important to keep your code inside this HTML comment. Observe carefully now. I kept this function in HTML comment and I'm refreshing here and click on print. It is working fine. It is working fine. So then what is the main reason of keeping in these symbols? So this is to tell if any old version browser is using this page, so it can understand what the functionality is written and translate it into its native. Because some advanced options it cannot understand. Later in language, I will show you which options are advanced and which options old version browsers cannot understand. So if anyone asks in interview, like how to target our JavaScript code to legacy browsers, this is the answer actually. So what is legacy browser? A legacy browser is the browser which will not support new versions of HTML and JavaScript. And how you will target the code to legacy browsers? The code is targeted to legacy browsers by using this syntax actually. That is the syntax. This is the syntax usually we write here, right? Yeah. So this is one simple point you should know how JavaScript is written for legacy browsers. One more point is there. So JavaScript strict mode. This is also very important. JavaScript strict mode is also important because one of the problem with JavaScript as a programmer, generally every programming language have this problem, but one problem regularly that comes for us in programming is actually, so you are writing JavaScript code. So you are writing in Visual Studio Code. Another person uses like WebStorm. Another person uses like Notepad++. Another person uses like Eclipse. You can write anywhere, it doesn't matter. So now the problem is every editor have its own rules, and due to that, what happens is when a developer is writing the code, because in a project hundreds of people are working and from different locations they are working, then code inconsistency will come. Code inconsistency means you have written in one style, another person written in another style, but finally both are writing for same project. Then it is lot of confusion for other people. So to extend your code, to modify your code, that is the reason we ask our developers to follow standards of coding. And as per coding standards, you write the code. So we force our developers to write the code in strict mode. In strict mode, it will not allow to violate any kind of coding standards. So that is very important. Coding standards. I will tell you what is strict mode. I will tell you. See, here, suppose I am writing, I will write a simple function here, HTML. See, here I am writing simply some script and function and call the function. And I am defining x equal to 10. And I am printing it, document.write. So x is equal to plus x. So you will learn what is document write and all, don't worry. Actually, our concept is so store a value in memory. For that, we need a variable. X is a variable, but unfortunately, X variable is not declared. Without declaring a variable, can you use variables? Generally, in many programming languages, it will not allow. But JavaScript is allowing. Then you can see that it is working fine. So JavaScript is allowing. So then what will happen is some people will declare some variables. So some people will not declare variables and try to use it directly. Both will be working fine. We don't want like that. We want developers to follow a certain standard. Then what we do is we ask our developers to write JavaScript in strict mode. In strict mode, it will not allow developer to violate any coding standards. How to turn on the strict mode? What you have to do is in the script element at the top, in the script element, you have to write use strict. This statement you have to write. Use strict. This will force the developer to write JavaScript in strict mode. That means now you cannot violate the rules. Observe carefully now. Previously it was working. So it was working previously, but now refresh, it is not working. You can go to inspect. You can go to console. You see console. In the console, it shows an error. X is not defined. That means as per the coding standards, X need to be defined and you haven't defined. Means X need to be declared. But observe carefully. So I remove the strict mode. Without declaring also, you can use variable in JavaScript. You can see that it is working fine. But we should not allow this. Then we will ask our developers to write it strict mode. Always, so we have to allow the developers to write in strict mode only so that they can follow the standards. Actually, if you want to learn the standards of coding, if you want to know the standards of coding, then you can use code analyzing tools actually. Code analyzing tools will be there. So like for JavaScript, the code analyzing tool is ESLint. So this is the code analyzing tool, ESLint. This is the eslint.org. This is the code analyzing tool. So this is very good, and this is very important for JavaScript learners. ESLint, ESLint. So this is a language analysis tool. Here you will have user guide. Here you will have developer guide. Developer guide. So you select here, several points will be there. Rules, working with rules, working with plugins, programming related, all the rules you can read here. So we select working with rules. It will show you all the rules configuration. So that means how to write variables, how to declare variables, how to write functions, everything it will show here. Which is good, which is not good, how to write a statement. So everything it will define here. So you can visit this, or there are other code analysis tools. Code analysis tools like PMD. We have PMD. So PMD is another code analysis tool. This is also code analyzer. It is also code analyzer. Go to documentation. You will see here rule reference will be there. In rule reference, you see ECMA script rules. In ECMA script rules, you will see error prone, you will see code style, you will see best practices. When you click on them, it will display all the rules, like how to write the code, how to write the functions, what are the rules you have to follow, which one is good, which one is not good, all this it will tell. So coding standards, these are very important to follow. So you will learn specially. For example, see here, actually, if I write a condition, if condition, and here we say statement if true, and else, so statement if false, statement if false. Actually, many times when you are learning any programming, your trainer will tell you that you can write a if condition without a flower brace, without block, without flower brace also, you can write the condition. Now, this statement will, this is valid, this is valid, but this is bad coding. This is bad coding. That is not good coding. It's not recommended. Always use flower braces. Don't think that you are using shortcut. So you are using some syntax which is not clearly, properly understandable to compiler. Then it is not shortcut. It is just nonsense, right? So that is the reason you should never follow these kind of shortcuts and techniques. You should always follow the standards of coding. Otherwise, a lot of performance issues will come in your programming. You can observe here. See, in the ECMA rules, I will say if and else statement. You see, in the rules, they have given a statement like they say that, so this is okay and this is bad. And who is saying that? The code analysis tools are saying that. That means they get all these rules from ECMA. That means people who built the language, they say that this is bad. Then if anybody tells you that this is shortcut, that is nonsense, right? That is not great. That means, so you are not learning good programming. You are doing a lot of bad programming, which is not good for application. Lot of such shortcuts people follow while writing the code, and that is not recommended. That is not recommended. So that is the reason we ask our developers to strictly follow the rules. So because if I don't put strict mode without declaring variable, it will work. Then what is problem? Some browsers cannot understand, so without declaring variable, so compatibility issues will come. That is the reason we don't take chance. Then we ask our developers like, so better you configure, better you write in strict mode, better you write in strict mode, so you can avoid all these coding issues. You can avoid all these coding issues. So while writing JavaScript, these points are very important. So what is the MIME type of JavaScript? How to target code for old version browsers, legacy browsers. To target for legacy browsers, we have to use HTML commands. You have to write everything in HTML commands. And how we can turn on strict mode for JavaScript. To turn on strict mode for JavaScript, you have to write use strict. And what is strict mode? Strict mode will not allow developers to violate the coding standards, and it will improve the code consistency. So otherwise, lot of code inconsistency will come. We can improve that by using this. These are some important points you need to know while writing the script, that is embedded script. And one more option is external file. You can write script in external file, same like CSS. External file means you can maintain JavaScript in a separate file with extension .js. JavaScript files will have the extension .js. What is advantage? Advantage is you can access and use this across any file. That means you can keep all your code. You can keep all your code. This code I can remove from here. I will maintain a separate file as print.js. JavaScript files will have extension .js. And here I will write that functionality. Here. And I want to use it in our page. Then how to do that? Just we have to link it. So script source src is equal to, it is coming from print.js. That means the script is not present in this file. It is coming from some other location. Style sheets are linked by using link, and the scripts are linked by using script source. Now, what is problem in using external file? You can see external file is also working fine. You can see that code from external file is also working fine. It is working fine. Then what is problem with external file? Can you tell what is problem in external file? We learned now. What is the problem in external file? In CSS also we discussed the same point, right? Yeah. What is the problem in external file? If you use external file, what will happen? If you use external file, the number of requests will increase. Understood? The number of requests will increase. Am I right? Already we learned in CSS now. If we are using, the number of requests will increase. If number of requests will increase, then page load time also will increase. Am I right? So page load time also will increase. That is the reason unnecessarily we cannot use external files. Only when you want, right? Only when you want to reuse the code across pages, then we can use these files, external files. Otherwise, we can use embed or we can write inline depending on the situation and requirement. So same like CSS only, but few extra things you have learned here is how to write in strict mode and how to write for old version browsers. These are important points here. So now once we know this, now we can understand. So how JavaScript manages input and output activities. How JavaScript manipulates DOM elements. These are the things we need to learn. How to handle input and output, and how to manipulate the DOM elements. Then we can start designing examples with this. That we will see in next session, right? Tomorrow we will see that. Tomorrow we are going to learn JavaScript input and output functions and JavaScript various types of techniques. Then we can start using JavaScript in our application development. Okay. Then tomorrow we'll continue with this. Huh?